Hello, I'm Mike Nicholson, the founder and principal of Shipmove, and welcome to our mooring analysis application. The main aim of this app was to make it as simple as possible, while still retaining sufficient accuracy for its intended use. Only 5 inputs are required to produce acceptable results. These are ship type, currently limited to tankers, bulkers and container ships; LOA, or length overall, from which most other dimensions and areas are derived; the load condition, so as to more accurately determine the above water areas of the ship; and the wind speed and current strength that the user wishes to model. If it is available, further information may be input into the app. The general effect will be to increase the output accuracy. These include the ship's beam and draft, the container tiers, which should be considered compulsory for a container ship, the mooring line angles, and the mooring line strength. Once all of the required information is entered, plus any optional data, the app uses verifiable methods to determine the relevant cross-sectional areas exposed to wind and current. The app then calculates, using established formula, the total wind and current forces acting on the vessel, and the fore and aft allocation of such forces. This by establishing the worst likely upper limits. Mooring rope capacity is then reduced by inputting the angle of the moorings from the ideal, which for breast lines is perpendicular to the ship, and for springs in line with the ship. If no angle is input, the app defaults to 60 degrees, at which point the mooring effectiveness is halved. Larger angles are inadvisable and so are not permitted by the app. Of course, knowing the minimum breaking load, sometimes called the breaking strain, of the ship's ropes is essential when determining the number of ropes to be deployed. If this is not known, the app calculates the likely breaking strain based on the ship's equipment number. This itself is a product of the cross-sectional area exposed to wind, which the app has already calculated. If the type and size, that is material and diameter, of the ropes is known, the app will calculate the minimum breaking load using established international standards. This will override the figure based on the ship's equipment number. If the breaking strain of the ropes, however, is known by reference to certificates or manufacturer's data sheets, this can be entered directly and, as before, will override other inputs. The app then calculates the minimum number of ropes required, that is, spring and breast lines, forward and aft. This is done by dividing the required restraint by the breaking strain of the appropriate ropes. In doing so, the app allows a safety margin of 50%, which is equal to or exceeds the Oil Company's International Marine Forum recommendations. It then calculates the maximum or limiting wind strength for the stated output or mooring array. This is in effect the headroom above which further ropes would be required to withstand the forces experienced by the vessel. The app goes further and states a recommended deployment. This is simply the minimum deployment plus 1 rope of each type, be that spring, aft breast, headline, etc. This is to ensure that a single line failure will not result in a complete or consequential failure of the overall mooring system. Toggle switches, located on the right hand side of the screen, allow access to submenus. One contains explanations, further guidance and disclaimers, while another shows the key for the required inputs. It also allows access to reset and send functions. The send function enables users to send a pre-formatted email containing all of the relevant inputs, outputs and results to a destination of their choice. It facilitates the sharing of information with third parties and can also serve as an auditable trail of the decision-making process.